Hi everyone. Just waiting for a few of you to join. Okay. Um, Hi everyone. This is Naini Thakur. I'm a journalist with Forbes India. Today we're going to be having a very exciting and a very different kind of a conversation. It's all about short video apps, and I think most of you know what the conversation is going to be about. So, while all of us know that short video apps have been popularized by TikTok, of course, it has now taken over social media given how many new short video applications have come up, and of course, existing ones that have moved into this. One of them being Instagram Reels. Instagram started off as a photo sharing platform, but it is so much more than that. And everyone watching this right now obviously knows that. Content creators have been experimenting with it, creating new forms of viral content, which is fast making Reels the go to format. And of course, Instagram's algorithm is favoring it, so everyone seems to be loving it. And with so many new short video application formats being coming up, so many new apps and platforms that have been growing, we're trying to understand what does this look like for the future of Reels, and we're going to be discussing this and so much more with Ajit Mohan, who is the Vice President and Managing Director of Facebook India. So I'm just going to be adding him. Just a second. I hope there are enough and more. I'm sure this is going to help all of them. So we're waiting for Ajit. Okay, here you are. Hi, sir. How are you?
Hi, Nina. Great.
Just give me a minute. I'm just going to turn off comments. Okay, there we go. All right, great. Firstly, thank you so much for taking out the time and doing this with us. I'm sure this is going to be a super insightful conversation, especially since I'm very excited for this because I want to know a lot more about Reels as someone who looks after Forbes India's Instagram. So, yeah, I hope you've looked at our Reels and I look forward to a fun conversation.
Same here. Great to be here.
Great. So, why don't we start by talking about the popularity of Instagram Reels and how it has grown over the past year, especially since India, was one of the fourth country where, Reels was first tested in.
Yeah, Nina, I think when we were launching Reels last year, we did know that we were launching a format that we had a lot of conviction in, and we knew it was going to do well in India. And that's what happened in the last year. And it's happened in multiple ways. We have seen an entirely new generation of creators from across the country embrace the format. We have seen creators use it in different ways. There are people who are using it for episodic content. There's a business magazine like you using it as well. You can clearly see the diversity of purposes and functions. We are seeing a lot of music and original video.
Yeah.
This has been true even prior to Reels on Instagram. It's accelerated it where music from India has tended to go global on Instagram, and I think really accelerated that. Uh, and the other one to call, if I look at the last couple of years, Naina, Instagram has been on a fairly steep growth trajectory. It had gone way beyond metros and the larger cities, even before the launch of Reels.
Yeah.
But Reels has taken Instagram deep in India, whether it's geographically, whether it's languages. And one of the stuff, I'm sure there's a lot of creators who've joined you today. One of the stuff that we articulated publicly last year was that one of our North Star for the launch of Reels in India is that we want to see the emergence of a big global celebrity creator from India.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are a lot of Bollywood and cricketers who are using Instagram and using, but for us, what would be quite a kick would be when Some who embraced the Reels format, embraced Instagram in India, even without any followership, is able to build that followership quickly and go global. And I think they've made massive progress in just the last 12 months. So we're quite happy with what we have seen in the last year.
Definitely. And what is the market share like when you compare Instagram Reels vis-a-vis a lot of the other short video apps globally as well as in India?
Honestly, Naina, I think we leave the market share analysis, good publications like Forbes, to do the numbers. We're really happy with what we have seen around the world, but particularly in India.
Right. And when it comes to dealing with the competition, especially with TikTok being banned, I mean, that obviously, has been a great trigger for Reels. How are you dealing with the competition? What does the strategy for Instagram Reels look like?
Yeah, I think, Naina, whether TikTok or no, the reality is that both in and around the world, the uh, the the short form video format space is intensely competitive. I mean, there's a lot of product innovation. There's a lot of capital going into companies who are trying to get it right. So we tend to focus on what we can do right,
Right.
and our framework for Reels has always been that um, this is a format that clearly addresses the moment in India and around the world that video is hugely popular, and a lot of people, especially younger folks, tend to embrace the short form video format. And for us, it's been about how do you grow Reels in a context that is unique to Instagram, right? I think the role that Instagram plays around the world is that um, it tends to define popular culture, tends to define trends.
Yes.
And a canvas like that, how do you make sure that you're creating a format that appeals to creators, allows a large number of people to be entertained, allows creators to build followership? So a lot of our energy has been not so much what competitors are doing, but how do we make sure that we keep raising the bar on the product? So in the last few months, we have introduced remix on Reels, for example, which is really allowing you to create a reel outside an existing reel.
Yeah.
We are now starting. We have now done testing of sharing of reels to Facebook. Now, for
Yeah.
data that instantly allows you to reach a much larger audience and build up followership quickly. Um, so the whole energy is on how do you fundamentally keep raising the bar on the tools that are available for creators that
Right.
allow them to express themselves, innovate with their creativity and formats, and ultimately build massive followership because I think that's what they're most excited about.
Absolutely. And I think reports state that the push for Reels is almost 3x more than that for static posts. Why is this? Or when did this decision kind of come about? And is this how it's going to continue being going forward as well?
I don't think there is any decision of that nature. I think if you look at how the Instagram product has evolved, Nena, if anything, for an app that started as a photo sharing app, if uh, uh, a neutral observer would say that we have held true to the ethos of photo sharing static posts for a long time. I think we're evolving the world. I think the reality is that there is a lot of a demand and a craving for video, and the way we think about it is that Instagram as a surface uh, plays different roles, and it shows up as different services and products, whether it's feed or stories or live or IGTV, and Reels. I think addresses the particular moment that is true globally, which is that people around the world are using short form video as this format for spontaneous expression and to create new entertaining content. So I don't think we think about it as prioritizing one or the other. I don't think we think about it as let's now push reels 3 times more than static posts. I think we think about it as this Instagram as a vehicle that plays a unique role around the world. It continues to set the agenda on culture and popular trends. And within that, I think we will continue to experiment with multiple formats. But we do believe that these can coexist. I think we can do more than one thing at the same time. And I think we can support Reels and static posts at the same time.
Right, absolutely. But sir, I think this is something that most content creators would like to know as well. Isn't Instagram's algorithm slightly more focused towards reel? I mean, doesn't that kind of say a lot for itself as well?
I think I think one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of energy and excitement around Reels, and therefore, potentially in terms of someone like you or others seeing a lot of Reels, is there is momentum for it. I think people around the world want to see Reels. In India, people are posting Reels. I mean, the growth has been dramatic in a short period of time. So um, my sense is Instagram as a product will continue to evolve within the ethos of what makes it special. It will continue to respond to the moment, and I think it'll continue to evolve. And the energy around Reels is organic. I think that's what's happening in the world at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And when it comes to, Instagram within India in particular, what about the vernacular language, category, or you planning to move into that? Any plans going forward in that direction?
Absolutely, and I think it's important to call out that I think a lot of the conversation on the India internet has been framed as pre-vernacular, post-vernacular, and my view on this then has been that India has always been diverse. That didn't start in the last 2 years or the last 5 years. We are diverse in our geography, in language, I think even if you look at the history of mainstream media,
Yeah.
products have tended to do well when it appeals to different parts of India, when it recognizes India. So I think some of the more recent framing about this is an app that appeals to vernacular India. I don't have a lot of time for that. I think this country has always been very diverse. I think the advantage of a visual first platform like Instagram is that it does transcend geography and language. And the reality is that when you look at Instagram, there's a lot of diversity that exists today. But one of the particular areas that we have tended to focus on is how can we make sure that we are helping creators around the country, that it's not just focused on a few languages, or it's not focused on creators of a certain size or in certain cities. And this goes back to our North Star. I think the Instagram team here is excited about this mission of building global celebrities from India. And that can, and that can happen in any language or from any part of the country. So a lot of our energy is focused around 4 areas. One is, of course, music and AR, where we have unleashed a lot of regional language content, right, or non-Hindi content, and we worked with a lot of creators to do that in multiple languages, multiple Indic languages. There's a lot of energy around the Spark AR platform where we have opened it for anyone to create and publish their own AR effects on Instagram. So, when the Guess the Gibberish went viral last year, we saw local adaptations from creators such as Guess the Gibberish Gwalior edition. So there's that natural, of course, people will have affinity and followership when you're seeing it render in your local cultural context. But these could be global trends that could be rendered locally. And then the part that we have been running for almost 2.5 years now is a program called Born on Instagram, which predates Reels. And the intent of that program has been exactly this. How do we make sure that we are democratizing the knowledge around how to do well on Instagram to creators around the country, whether it is by talking about new features or best practices or even the collaborations that happen with brands and companies. We are pretty committed to making sure that there is no gap between what is available to creator in Mumbai or Delhi and a creator in Gwalior or Cochin or Coimbatore, and that's I think deeply understood here, and I think that's resulted in, if I look at the last 12 months, the explosion of creativity that we have seen across the country. I think tells you that we are getting this right, both our efforts and the product, Nena.
Right. And in the, in this era of short video form and short attention spans, particularly, how is another feature of Instagram, like in IGTV, panning out, and what are your strategies for a feature like that?
Yeah, I think it goes to the same question earlier, that can we do multiple things at the same time? Absolutely. We believe we can support IGTV and live rooms and feed and stories. I think, and what we've traditionally seen is that IGTV is used for slightly longer content, right? There's a lot of episodic content that has shown up on IGTV. So
Yeah.
that continues. I think at the moment, the energy is really on, and in India, there are more than 6 million reels that are produced every day. So that gives
Wow.
you a sense in terms of whether it's creators or brands or companies or even followership that's being built around Reels. The energy is there, and therefore I see a lot of disproportionate action on Reels at the moment.
Right. And when you look at Reels globally, country wise, what are some countries that have done exceptionally well when it comes to this particular format?
Yeah, we haven't really shared any global stats on this, but I think not a surprise. India continues to be a country that does disproportionately well for us. I
Right.
think if you talk to the product leaders at Instagram, they will acknowledge that we have seen massive growth in the last year. And in many ways, the Instagram team has looked to India as a test bed for introduction of new features, introduction of new tools. And I think our learnings from India uh, are really influencing our global roadmap for Reels and frankly for Instagram more broadly. So, uh, numbers, again, I think we tend to be focused more on innovation rather than playing the market share game. But, we're doing
Right.
well in it.
Right. And when it comes to paid promotions, I think now even Reels has like a paid promotions kind of an option, and there are ads as well that are playing on Reels. So, what is your strategy with that, and what kind of a growth are you seeing in that segment?
Yeah, we are testing ads on
Yeah.
Reels. It's going to be vertical ads up to seconds. And just like when we introduce ads within stories, we tend to play around, get it right before we kind of launch at scale. So
Right.
we, we like what we are seeing, but there's still fairly early days on that, and there's still a lot of work to do. And one of the reasons why we are so focused on monetization, Nena, is that uh, we know that uh, creators put a lot of their lives and energy and efforts on this work, including in Reels, and this becomes sustainable only if we are able to create monetization tools that make it easier to generate. So that's kind of, again, it comes back to this focus on creators, making it easy for people to followership and then to monetize. So
Right.
that it continues to be pretty high internally. Now, I think to the second part of your question on branded content, if you step back and think about it, Instagram always lend itself to brands a lot more than the Facebook app.
Yeah.
I think we have shared before, but 90% of people on Instagram follow at least one business.
Yeah.
That's a pretty remarkable statistic, and that tells you the business agenda, whether it's to create followers for brands, and I think the whole program of what you're calling paid promotions of branded content fits with that. And therefore, a lot of our is how do you make it easier for brands to work with creators or promoting organic branded content that allows them to reach new audiences as well. So there's a whole bunch of examples, including work that we have done with Hyundai, Cadbury, Puma in India, on very large companies, and they're pretty excited because not only is this a new format for them to experiment with, I think they understand the power of working with creators to build new followership, because that's what Reels allows you to do as well. But it's all the action is not just at the large corporate end. It's also there's there's a very small gardening business in Ahmedabad called My Teacher, with
Yes.
branded content working with Kareena Kapoor, and we have seen some internal numbers, and the impact that they've got is massive. So I do think we are entering a fairly new phase in marketing, Naina, where you're seeing two or three things coming together, right? One, the secular context where the whole world is shifting. That's true for consumers, it's true for businesses. You're then seeing brands recognizing that there is more and more space for authentic expression, for the expression of purpose, right? And thirdly, you're seeing the emergence of creators on platforms like Reels, who are particularly good with creative, spontaneous expression that straddles the space between signaling identity, which brands love, and entertaining people, which brands love even more. So I think
Yeah.
all three are coming together in my scratch the surface of what could look like a pretty massive space of what marketing in the next few months. Yeah.
Right. So I might be a little late in correcting you. It's my name is Naini and not Naina. Sorry,
Ah, sorry about
people
the
tend to get confused, but I thought I'll
sorry about
let
any.
you know. Right. Coming back, and looking at like a slightly wider point of view, what are some of the steps that Facebook, Instagram, is taking to prevent abuse on these respective platforms? Because we've seen a lot of trolling, especially for content creators or celebrities, or I mean even platforms like us. There's a lot of trolling that happens. So
Yeah,
what are some steps we've taken?
yeah, and Nene, I'm glad you asked the question. Apologies again for getting the name wrong.
It's
Uh,
all right.
I think two, three things, right? I think whether it's on the Facebook app or Instagram, Nene, the we're aligned with the focus on safety, the focus on creating healthy conversations. I think there's so much public media narratives that constantly says that in some way or the other, it's in our economic interest for hateful content to thrive, or abusive content to thrive. And that could not be further from the truth. I think the reality is that um, uh, with the kind of engagement that we see on our platforms, where the large disproportionate share is positive, it's people engaging with friends and family, or people engaging with communities that they're interested in. It's we know from data only a very small number, a minority that tends to be negative, right, hateful, or in some form or the other. But it's our responsibility to kind of try and limit even that minority share of what is not constructive conversations. And from a framing of it, we're aligned. I mean, we want to do it. It's good for people on the platform, and it's good for advertisers too. I mean, if people do think about what is their economic self-interest, advertisers love um, engaging with positive content. So there is no sunlight between what is good for the world and where our focus is. In that context, I think we do it through multiple ways. We have community guidelines that are transparent about the kind of content that we allow on our platforms. And every day, through our AI systems and through human reviewers, we take out a lot of content, a lot of it even before anyone sees them. Sometimes when people flag those, so that happens. And if anything, we have put in more investment in product and energy and hiring people into building up that safety and security system. Second, we constantly are experimenting, Nani, with what we can do on the products to give users more choice. So today, for example, um, we are encouraging teens to keep their accounts private. So we put a lot of effort for those who are under 18, who are coming on Instagram. We really encourage them to opt for a private account by giving them the information on what the different settings mean. Um, Earlier this year, we launched a parents guide that is a conversation with parents on how they help their children have a say on Instagram. So that's sort of the second energy. The third is we work with a lot of civil society organizations where we are constantly taking inputs from society at large and with experts on what can we do that is better. And there's a trade-off here, Nini. I think people want to express themselves freely. That's a principle that we are aligned with. I mean, Facebook was started, 17 years ago, exactly with the agenda of expression, and of course within the confines of the law. But very often there is a trade-off between allowing expression of all kinds and making sure limiting speech that is hateful or negative. uh, I think we continue to put a lot of energy there. We'll keep raising the bar, and I think we want to constructively engage with people on our platforms as well as experts and the broader society to make sure that we are constantly getting it right. We are improving every day. That's where the energy.
Right. And where does Facebook stand when it comes to the new IT rules, especially since, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned that Facebook backs them, whereas Nick Clegg called them highly intrusive. So, what's your comment on the same?
Yeah, no, Nick and I are on the same page, Nani. Um, Nick was specifically talking about traceability on WhatsApp, and I'll come to it. But I think to what I just said, we do recognize that there is a trade-off between free speech and safety, right? And a lot of the IT rules has been on how India can, through these rules, create a safer environment online. And that's an agenda that we are aligned with. We are 100% aligned with the agenda of safety and security online. And as I just mentioned, a lot of our product changes, a lot of our community guidelines, policies, and enforcement have all been consistent with that. And I've also been vocal in the last weeks that our objective is to comply with these new rules. I think we have communicated that we do respect local law. In fact, I think Nick Clegg, our global head of policy and comms, has for the last 3 years or so advocated for regulation. So I think we're all saying the same things actually. Including on fairly complex issues like privacy and competition and data rights. And even a couple of weeks ago, I think Nick called out that he sees these three big poles in the world who will set the agenda for the global internet. The US, of course, Europe, and India. So I think conversation in India is important for the global conversation. So I do think we're all saying the same thing, that there is a need for regulation. There is a need for greater clarity on rules, and India has a huge role to play in shaping that. We, of course, hope that given the nature of the internet, it's powerful when these rules align, right? It's good to have a global framework where democracies are aligned on what the regulation looks like, because the way the internet works, it not always does kind of neatly fit into geographical boundaries. But we're also clear that we are respectful of local law in India. The one place where that there is a disagreement, and we have filed in the Delhi High Court, is on traceability, where we fundamentally asked for clarification from the court, because we do believe that traceability would undermine end-to-end encryption, and make it difficult for us to keep our promises to users. So Nick's comment was on traceability in particular, and this is one which is now before the courts in India, Nani, and we are hoping to get clarity.
Absolutely. And coming back to content creators and Instagram strategy in particular, tell us what are some specific programs that you guys have for content creators, and going forward, what are some new features that we can expect with Instagram?
Yeah, I think one. I think for all the creators who are watching us, they should have the comfort that um, you're a very important stakeholder for us. I think when the product leaders at Instagram and those for Reels wake up every day, I think disproportionate energy is how do we make it easier for you to create great, right, great Reels, great stories. Um, uh, and you've seen, as I mentioned earlier, in any way, you've seen us introduce new tools, and that will continue. So over time, I think you will see the introduction of new. Second, um, a lot of our energy with the teams in India is to make sure that we're engaging with creators, and I think many of you, I'm sure, would agree to that. In terms of helping you understand how to build global followership and global audiences, we are very excited by the idea that Instagram can create a global superstar creator, right? And the nature of Reels, the way it works, and with the capture of a global platform like Instagram, means that when you get it right, you can find global followers quickly. The platform is naturally geared for that, and that's sort of our north star. Third is we have programs like Born on Instagram where we engage with creators to constantly introduce themselves to practices and new tools, and in many ways that new. The last one is a fairly straightforward counsel, Nani, which is it's the most powerful when creators are authentic, and when they're uh, joyful and entertaining, right? I think look at the creators that have done really well in India and around the world. It's not happened on the back of a cookie cutter playbook. I think it's happened because people have put the video in front of them, and really allowed themselves to express authentically, whether it's leveraging humor, whether it's leveraging music, and that's I would imagine that's the easiest counsel to follow, right? All that you have to do is be yourself, and you'll be surprised at how quickly millions of people want to watch and listen to what you have to say.
Absolutely. Right, so I think this is a great way to end this conversation at. I thank you so much for the insights, and we look forward to a lot more happening on Instagram. And I think thank you so much again for the time. It was lovely speaking to you, and thank you for these insights.
Same here,
Thank
Nanny.
you.
Great. Thank you so
Have a
much.
great day. Bye bye.
Thank you.